Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that I've done a couple of really informative videos for you guys today on training, my two obligatory informative videos, I'm going to jump into something a little deeper and a little more philosophical. Because I had someone ask me last week, do I ever feel guilty about attacking the supplement companies and attacking the supplement industry for their evil and for them basically being an entire snake oil industry, knowing that there are a lot of people out there further down the chain who depend on those companies for a living, to provide for their families, everything else. You know what? That's actually a really deep question. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit. Let's talk about this, because we're talking about the shills for the industry. I think it comes down to different levels of involvement, different levels of knowledge. You know, because obviously the people at the top who are high up in a supplement company, they know that none of their products work. They know that nothing they sell actually helps you build muscle, helps with recovery, helps with burning fat, anything else any more than normal foods do. It's only people with a really bad imbalanced diet see any benefit from this stuff. They know it's all worthless. They know it doesn't work. A lot of people further down in the company, maybe who package this stuff, maybe people who sell it, the salesmen, they may not know. They may not know. And so are they just doing their job? Are they just following orders without concern as to what they're doing is actually right or not? And a lot of young men see all this advertising and the supplement stuff, and they assume, because they buy supplements, that supplements are good, that it's something positive, that they work, and they want to get into the industry. And you know, when it comes down to this, for those of us who really understand how the industry works, we do know it is really a snake oil con artist industry. It's actually what I would describe as an evil industry. So how do we look at that? Well, I guess it comes down to, number one, how much do they understand how bad it really is? And number two, how much does that really matter when we're discussing ethics at the end of the day? Meaning, like the Catholic theologians and philosophers, some of them have come up with a concept called cooperation with evil. And most of you know, most Catholics, and at least the Church and the Vatican, believes that abortion is wrong. They believe it's evil. So the way I've heard this worded by theologians is, does the man who repairs the machines at the abortion clinic that perform the abortions, as a repairman doing that, is he wrong for cooperating with evil? And that's what you have to look at. And what is the level of wrongness involved? Does it depend on how much he knows or not? Or is his action actually an evil thing, even though he's doing it just to make a living? Even though he's doing it just to make a living? Or could he find something that's more moral to make the same amount of money on? Something that doesn't harm people, something that isn't bad, or that doesn't steal money from naive people through trickery, such as when we're talking about the supplement industry. In this case, could he do something that doesn't result in any harm if you happen to believe that a fetus is a person? And obviously not everyone believes that. But the Catholic Church does. And so they would make that argument there that technically he is cooperating with evil, and that actually if he were to just delay even repairing a machine, it might actually be a good act. And that kind of goes back to the whole World War II thing with the Nazis and everything. Those of you who saw Schindler's List, which is a pretty interesting movie, you guys remember that Schindler had bought at one time, near the end of the movie, a bomb factory, a factory that made munitions. And then he told his workers there he wanted them to make sure that everything was duds, because he went in and adjusted the machine so that the shells they made wouldn't function properly. And what he told the guy he had managing it, I want you to keep those machines adjusted wrong, because I don't want to ever hear that a single shell that came out of my factory worked and was used for this war and to kill people and cause destruction. So he wanted everything that he made to not work. Technically made him a con man, but he was doing it for what he believed was a moral and just cause. Because in his mind, even the factory workers there who were putting the munitions together were cooperating with evil. They were cooperating with Hitler. They were cooperating with the Nazis. So you could look at a supplement company the same way. You could take someone like who's the head of a supplement company up at the top of the pyramid, like Lobliner or someone, would be like Hitler in this situation. They know full well everything that's going on. And then, you know, the people under him, maybe someone like Steve Shaw could be like Goebbels or Himmler or someone. And then all the other people under him, maybe who are high up in it, they know the real story. They know what's going on. And then people further down in the company, maybe they don't know so much about what's going on, but they're cooperating with evil, just like people who were further down the machine during that war effort. Maybe they weren't on the level of what Hitler was doing, but they were cooperating with evil, sometimes just to make a living, or sometimes just because they were following orders. And you know what we determined at the Nuremberg trials, which was an international tribunal headed by the United States, that crimes against humanity, that following orders wasn't an excuse. And we could also argue that if these people work for these companies, they work for these various companies, yes, everyone needs to be able to earn a living. You know what? Anyone who's willing to work, I do honestly believe should be able to earn a living, should be able to provide for themselves if they're willing to work. There's nothing wrong with that. With someone wanting to work and have a job. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we do have to step back and assess how much harm are we doing with what we do. You know, are we building the machines that are going to be exterminating children or women and children? Are we building horrific things? Are we scamming people with our products? Are we really causing harm? Are we using false advertising? Are we in an industry that's causing harm? And you know, I'm of the opinion that, okay, a lot of people see an industry and say, hey, this looks really good. This looks really good. I'm going to get involved in it. I'm going to get involved in it. But you can only be in an industry like that so long before you have to eventually realize that you might be in an industry that's not so good. And you know, a lot of us make that decision to do that at different points in our life. And at different points of our life, we sometimes look at the industry we're in. I'm not going to get into me specifically, but I have left a line of work before when I really realized it wasn't necessarily the right thing. And that's kind of the point that we're looking at. Some of these people, maybe they're being willfully ignorant, because you can only work for so many years in an industry like that. It's a complete con industry, or an industry that's just downright evil, without eventually realizing, hey, this isn't so good. Maybe I could go do something else. And I think that's the case when it comes to something like the supplement industry. It really doesn't have any redeeming qualities. And it's going to shock a lot of people for someone to say that. It really doesn't have any redeeming qualities. These products, for the most part, don't really do anything. They don't work. They're usually just corrections for a really bad diet, other than medical uses. And you know what? If you've got good medical insurance, which should be most people who are employed full-time in the U.S., or even who can afford to go to college or not employed, sometimes they're on their parents' insurance. If you have a legitimate deficiency, it's not that hard to get a prescription to cover it. You shouldn't need to go buy a supplement, and in fact, the supplement industry, the odds that you're going to get the right product for even a deficiency you find in blood work that's going to work right, it's going to be low. The industry is known for even their vitamins and minerals half the time not even having what they're supposed to have in them, or not what's not on the label. This has been a real problem even with basic vitamins. So there's no guarantee of that. You're still better going to a doctor and getting an actual legitimate pharmaceutical grade vitamin or mineral or something that your doctor knows you need based on a blood test. But most of the other stuff, it's just there to balance your diet or to sell people products they don't need. Maybe they had a good diet, they just convince you you need a lot more protein than you really need. And that's, again, billions of dollars there. That's at least $1 billion industry, just the protein powders. Convincing people to buy something that they don't need that doesn't really help them? Come on. There's no merit in that. And then people say, well, they inspire people. Really? You're telling me that you need to be inspired to do the basics for your health and fitness, to work out and exercise and eat decent, that you need someone to inspire you to do what should be the bare minimum to be healthy? You don't give a fuck about yourself enough to just do that? Do you need a company or someone on a magazine cover to inspire you? Seriously? I think the industry has told people that shit. Oh, that you need this inspiration. You know what? Fuck them. You don't need inspiration. We should all want to not have a heart attack. We should all want to not have cancer or diabetes. We should all want to be strong and fit and healthy. I mean, that you need motivation to not get cancer, to just take care of yourself enough to reduce your chances, by 80% of getting cancer or diabetes, that that you need inspiration for that. If you can't be inspired on your own to say, I want to be healthy and not get these diseases, maybe I don't give a fuck about you then. I don't know. If you can't help yourself with at least the basics, You're probably hopeless and a weak person anyway. That you need inspiration for that? Come on, guys. This company has told people, these companies have told people they need inspiration. The industry has told people they need inspiration. You know what? I think people have pursued health and fitness on their own for generations without needing any companies to inspire them. These companies don't provide shit. All they provide is false hopes, false expectations, terrible products that don't do anything, that just drain your bank account. There's nothing noble that the supplement game provides. There's nothing noble this industry provides. Nothing at all. It has no redeeming qualities. And you know what I would rather see? These same people who might be passionate about jumping into something like this actually taking their passion and putting it into something that might actually help people in some way, or educate people, or do something good for society. I would prefer that, honestly. I would prefer that, honestly, rather than them do this for a living. So me kind of attacking an industry that really I see as a really, really negative, harmful thing, no, I don't feel guilty about it. You know what? There can always be negative blowback to anything we do. Even when we do something that's good, negative things can come out of it. But we have to look at is, are you going to do more good than harm with what you're trying to do? Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.